Hey everybody, I'm Todd Anderson.
And I'm Ross Merriam.
And you're watching Versus Live by StarCityGames.com. This is twitch.tv/SCG Tour. We got Versus Live coming in today. We got, what are we playing today? Modern?
Playing a lot of Modern.
Because
we got SCG Baltimore coming up this weekend.
Oh.
Please ignore the people in the background. Quiet down in the peanut gallery.
Sorry.
Yeah. Heckler's not welcome. No, that's Brad Nelson over there in the booth giving us the business today, as I like to call it.
I don't know what business I'll be giving, but I will be answering your questions from Twitch chat, so send them in, and if they are good enough, I'll send them to the boys.
Be sure to tag at SCG Tour in those questions so Brad can see them, and he will ship them on over to us. Been a little while here on Versus Live. Took a break for the holiday last week, so hope you all had a good holiday. I was in North Carolina.
I was in Alabama visiting my wife's parents and her family, and then we watched the football. Roll Tide. Not Roll Tide.
Has Alabama played a close game of football this year?
They've played 2 close halves.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not in the same game.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So Brad actually chose the decks for today. You were doing like a Twitter poll and some other stuff. Do you want to tell us like why you picked these decks, or should I just kind of wing it?
No. I'll talk about it. So
I generally assume that all of Brad's decision making is to make me suffer as much as possible.
I let you play Dredge for an entire day, and then History for another entire day. So I believe you're wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
So today, since I have to pick up Modern again for SCG Baltimore and SCG Con's SCG Invitational, it's a format that's difficult to just pick up after you've been away for so long. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different matchups that I hear so many polarizing opinions about. And so when I don't have a lot of information, I use the people around me, my peers from the SCG Tour and from the pro circuit as, my guide. But when they say 2 different things, I don't know what to do. So today I've brought 3 matches to the table that I have seen polarizing opinions of. Now I will say that this is the most biased one. I believe the Bant Spirits versus humans versus dead humans.
Nice. Okay. I like that. I like that naming convention, honestly.
Yeah, pretty much there's a lot of people that play humans that say it's not that bad of a matchup. It's actually like a pretty close or good matchup. And there's Bant Spirits players say it's a good matchup from their side. And I was really curious about this one. But the other 2 were just polls from the internet and they also seem like very close, complex matchups. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to see how all 3 of them play out and your guys' opinions of these matchups.
Yeah, I will tend to agree for the matchup that we're playing right now to kick off humans versus dead humans, that the dead humans are on the advantage side of things. It's a very combat-oriented matchup, both decks filled with creatures, some Reflector Mages and removal spells on either side. And the kicker for me is that the Spirits player gets to dictate the pace of the game because they have so many flyers. So if they want to stay back on defense, they can block and do that if that's the way the game is progressing. Mm. But if they want to race, there's not a lot the humans player can do about that. If they're not in a position, they just have to go with what the Bant Spirits player is doing and react to them. And because the Bant Spirits player gets to dictate, that puts, as long as they know what they're doing and are making good decisions, they should come out ahead.
Yeah, I think that there is a lot of back and forth in this matchup for good reason, because if you asked me, I would have said hands down that the humans deck is favored just because it's lower to the ground. You can apply more pressure more quickly, but you make good points in that most of your threats do fly, and not many of mine do. And a lot of times, if you have an early draw, especially on the play where you play turn 2 Lord into turn 3 Lord, like you're able to just overrun me too fast.
Yeah, and sometimes you're going to have a draw where you come out really quickly and I can't really stabilize the battlefield in time, especially if I stumble. And those are games that you're definitely going to win. And I do think in games like that, having the deck that's a little bit lower curve is better. But the onus is on you to do that. If you stumble at all, then the late game is going to go to the Spirits player that just assembles this battlefield of a giant horde of hexproof spirits. So. Mm-hmm. It's really the onus is on you to be aggressive coming out of the gates. I think you want to take an aggressive role if you can. It's just a matter of whether or not the draws come together for you to be able to do that.
No, I agree. I think that the matchup actually changed pretty significantly when the Spear Sects actually went back to playing a bunch of Reflector Mages. I think Reflector Mage is key from both sides. If one person draws multiple Reflector Mages and the other player doesn't, if you don't have an Ether Vial, it's backbreaking. Like it takes away like your entire turn 2 or turn 3 play, and keeps you from replaying that very important creature, no matter what it is. From my side, it's usually going to be a Lord effect. From your side, it's usually going to be like either a Champion of the Parish, Mana Strider, or like a Thalia. Maybe sometimes I guess you can maybe hit like a Kitesail Freebooter if you have a Collected Company locked underneath it or something.
Yeah, and sometimes you hit a Spell Queller to get a creature that's locked under that. So yeah, Reflector Mage is huge, probably the best card in the matchup from both sides. So
ideally, I think your version would want to play 4-Path and 4 Reflector Mage in this matchup. And after board, I'm assuming you have like 1 or 2 more Path decks.
I think it's just a Dromoka's Command on the side.
That's fair
sideboard.
too.
Yeah,
you can't afford to like the way the Collected Company decks need to be built. You can't afford to overload on non-creature spells in your deck. Worship, really? You're gonna try to goose me out like that?
Yeah. So I've heard that a few people don't like Worship in this deck. But I decided to pay tribute to all of the wonderful top 16 players from SCG Vegas from 2 weeks ago. And so I selected all my decks from that top 16, even our own Ross Merriam's deck list.
Nice.
Sometimes you see a Settle the Wreckage in Spirit sideboards nowadays to help against Dredge and Arclight Phoenix. This does not have the Settle. I think it's pretty rare to see both Settle and Worship when you're just having that many 4-mana spells.
Mm-hmm. All right, I have a question from Level 32 Bard. Asking, if you play Settle the Wreckage in Banned Spirits, would it be better to sell it by playing 1 copy of Legion's Landing?
that can't be a real question. I what?
Level 32 Bard. I'm here with.
Did Luis create a burner account?
No, I actually have two on point questions.
Hold on, I have a good answer to Bard's question.
All right.
1, Spirits doesn't need Legion's Landing. It already has 2 awesome ways to sell a Settle the Wreckage, and that is holding up mana for Collected Company and Spell Queller. So the fact that your deck plays at instant speed a lot anyway makes it easy to disguise what your plays are when you hold up mana. So that's Settle the Wreckage is actually very effective out of the Spirits deck. When I was playing Dredge, I basically just told myself that I could never beat it. But you have to attack all out, you have to race them, and if they just have it instead of having Collected Company, you're just dead.
Oh, I remember we played that on Versus Live previously, and I did not have it. Termidor MTG asked some really good questions. Paraphrasing slightly, why do you think humans went from hero to zero?
Well, it hasn't really changed with the times. So if you look at the modern format when humans started to gain a lot of popularity, the decks that it was beating, namely, were things like Death Shadow was really big, and that was a very easy matchup that basically doesn't exist anymore.
It was beating Storm decks that were unprepared to answer a Meddling Mage.
Yeah, if you just name Meddling Mage on Grapeshot in game 1, it was usually a free win because they didn't have the Unsubstantiate.
Or maybe a Lightning Bolt domain, things that they have now.
Yep. And I mean, I think for the most part, decks keep changing. The metagame has changed significantly, and this deck has not adapted in the slightest. It's literally just 57 of the 60 that it used to be.
Yeah, they added like 2 Militia Buglers, and that's about it. Sometimes you use some other 3s. Control decks weren't as popular when humans first arose, and then Teferi got printed. Control decks got big. Those are bad matchups. So humans. It's a good deck. It got really popular. The metagame adapted to it. Now it's less good.
I mean,
pretty classic story.
Look, I'm not gonna downsell humans because I still think humans is very good. I just think that it could do with some updates because honestly, I don't think Kitesail Freebooter is very good right now. Even like the combo decks, like I can hit like an Ancient Stirrings or something out of Tron, but for the most part, the combo based decks that Kitesail Freebooter would normally be good against aren't super reliant on their spells to be good. They need their lands to be good or their mana to be good, and a lot of times Freebooter is just a 2-mana 1/2 flyer that doesn't take anything, and that's bad.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Very hit or miss card right now.
GGX member throwing out the hate. Humans is still much better than any control deck. I take personal offense to that statement. I do like Eve Zio Long's 14 statement, though. And this is pretty much answering what you were trying to answer here, but much better. Humans clearly didn't get a montage to get itself ready to keep up with the other decks around it. It really needs to go through a good redemption arc. I agree.
It needs a Rocky-esque montage.
Yes.
Start hitting some meat sacks.
Yeah. I mean, so there is a build that I think is potentially viable that I think, yeah. Yeah, and I think that getting beefier is actually a pretty reasonable way to go. I know Dylan Hand as well as some other people have gone back to Mayor of Averbrook in the 2-drop slot as a way to bolster your squad. But I also think that Banash Marshall could just be really good. And if I mean, you can't see them, but I have 4 over here. And I'm going to be putting them in the deck. If I go 0-2 in the first 2 games, you can bet you're behind. 4 copies of Banash Marshall getting in the deck.
4.
I'm interested. I'm
maybe
interested
3.
how they do.
I have Militia Bugler, and okay, Militia Bugler is a card that should only be in your humans deck when you're planning on facing against Jund, Jeskai Control, or any other deck that has 8+ removal spells. And those don't exist right now. So Brian Basoko, what are you doing? That's what I want to know. Maybe that's why you win top 16 instead of top 8. Militia Bugler's not good against linear aggressive decks.
I can tell you that Brian Basoko did not win a lot of matches in Las Vegas.
I agree.
I think he won 4 or 5.
Nice.
Wow, that team.
Oh, so you pulled a classic Ross Merriam.
I won 7.
Oh, really? You didn't do well with your Phoenix?
No, I'm talking about in Dallas.
When you were playing human.
No,
okay.
I went like X3, X4 with Phoenix deck.
Okay,
Nice.
cool. Well, I say we get to battle because we've got 3 matches to play today.
We do have 3 full matches. This is the first. We're just doing humans versus spirits. What's next on the docket, Brad?
We're going Dredge versus
okay.
Tron. 2 of the most polarizing, opinionated decks
Really?
in the format.
That was the close matchup you decided to pick?
It's a lot closer than it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be in Tron's favor, and
By a
now I
lot.
think it's switched, but I think it's really close. Yeah. It used to
I
be in
guess
Tron's
the
favor by a
creeping
lot.
chill just makes the burn element like a real deal.
Yep.
Cool.
It's a lot of reach.
All
I'll
right.
take odds.
All right, you're odd. Nice.
Got him.
Well, that sucks. I like going first in this matchup. It's great.
This might be the first time I've won a die roll that way in versus live.
Huh.
Right? Like, hadn't I lost like a million in a row?
You might have beat Brad once or twice. Who
I
knows?
guarantee you've beat me because you've started so many matches on the play with history into history. So I know you've won die rolls.
Well, no, that's because he lost previous match, and now he just won that one game.
Oh,
with
sure.
History and history.
Yeah, I've got a fine hand here. We'll keep this one on the play.
I think this is a sweet hand. I don't know if it's good enough to win the game.
Well, I think I have my best turn 1 start of Sanctum into Noble.
Well, it's lit. Go.
Oh, Aether Vial, that's good.
Yep. Hope you don't kill it.
Um,
Not that you have very many ways to kill it, but if you killed it, I'd be in a lot of trouble.
I'm going to go to 17 for a Hallowed Fountain and play Mausoleum Wanderer and Selfless Spirit.
Well, that is a good start, sir.
Fast turn.
Okay. If he plays a Lord next turn, probably in some trouble.
What do you got?
Huh. So the question is like, do I want to be defensive? And I don't actually know the answer to that. I guess not. All right. I'm gonna make 2 2/2s. I'm gonna start by trigger this, and then I'm gonna play this. I can have a 3/3 and a 1/1, or 2 2/2s, and I think I want 2 2/2s to keep them kind of flat.
So
Power
this is a neat
level-wise.
trick with this deck where you cast a Thalia's Lieutenant, put Thalia's ETB trigger on the stack, and then activate Aether Vial so that
Yes.
the creature you put it onto the battlefield off of the Aether Vial will get a counter when the Lieutenant resolves, and the Lieutenant will get a counter when that enters.
Yeah, this is more important when you have something like a Noble Hierarch, for example.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't have the Champion of the Parish, I would absolutely do this in this way so that I could have slightly
an extra
bigger
counter.
Champion of the Parish. Yeah.
Yeah, here it's just because of the way Champion works, it's just redistributing counters.
Mhm.
Okay. That seems pretty good. Let's Reflector Mage the Champion of the Parish. So this means that Todd will have to to get that champion into play on the next turn, he'll either have to use the vial on 1 and cost himself a potential mana,
Mhm.
or he'll have to wait a turn. And then
Take
I guess I can
3.
just attack with this.
The same damage.
Yeah, it's the same damage, and I get more options.
Okay.
So 17 all.
Mhm.
Pass the turn.
All right. So I'm definitely going to take out my Ether Vial this turn. But I don't think I want to go like ham sandwich with what I have on hand yet. I think I want to wait 1 turn, and I think that's best. I'm going to put the trigger of Ether Vial on the stack. I'm going to put Champion on the battlefield, pump this, and then I'm going to take this up, and then I'm going to take my draw for the turn.
Yep.
Okay, that was a really good draw. We're going to play a Mantis Rider. Trigger this, and I'm going to hit you for 7.
So, the question here is whether or not I want to chump block with Mausoleum Wanderer or save it to potentially set up better blocks. I think I can get better blocks.
You can just
later.
prevent more damage next turn if I play you, right? You just prevent more overall damage.
I guess I could chump block both by throwing away the Selfless Spirit.
That's fair. So you trade Selfless Spirit for 7 points of life when you're at 17. It's not terrible.
I think I want to wait on that, though. I'm going to take the 7 just based on what I have.
Okay. Let me guess. Ross really needs a land so that he can class Collected Company or double 2-drop.
Okay, let's attack for 3 again.
So there's a chance. Okay.
I guess I'd rather do it with Reflector Mage.
I think so, because I was actually about to just snap off this block just because of what it represented as far as blocking with your team is concerned. It was basically a fog. In this scenario, I think I'm fine just taking the 3 from the Reflector Mage and going to 14.
14. So now I have another Reflector Mage. I'm not really sure what to do with it because Vial makes Reflector Mage very awkward.
Yeah, I think you just have to target this. But
so
bouncing this is like fairly dangerous. I mean, I can just play it for free.
Yeah, that's the problem. Both of these just enter the battlefield next turn anyway.
Yeah.
And this will make the champion just as big as this was. I think I just return the champion and pass.
All right, we're gonna leave this at 2.
Interesting.
Draw. All right, we are going to image this bouncing this.
I am going to sacrifice this. I don't think I'm going to have time to where replaying this is relevant, and I want to block this turn because I'm at 10, so.
All right, so I can... So attacking is irrelevant right now because these... So I can do something before blocks, or I can just... all right. I think I'm just going to not attack, but I'm going to copy this, bounce this. And that's going to keep him off of... He's been missing his land drops, so I think it's better to do that. And then we'll just say go because these are all indestructible. And these are both Reflector Mages.
Classic. Finally drew the land.
Oh, I know.
No, what you were saying, Ross, is that you'll be in the Classic if you continue drawing like this.
At this point, the Thales Lieutenant is such a large threat, I think I have to bounce it, which is very awkward. So, yeah, let's image a Reflector Mage and bounce the Lieutenant. I don't think like acting as a Necrotal here
Yeah. I think that's fair.
is particularly good.
There's 5 Reflector Mages on the battlefield.
Okay, pass.
Okay, we're gonna leave this at 2.
Figured as much.
All right, I will Play champion. Play a Thal's Lieutenant trigger. 2 here. And then I'll copy this. 4, 2, 2, 2, do, tech. Where you going?
Where you going, Ross?
You're at 10. You just jump block 3 things and you survive.
We're done here.
Okay. All right. So real quick before I want to get to some questions in a second, but I want to talk a little bit about the perception of this matchup. Even from my side, me and Ross actually played like 3 games or so before we actually started today's broadcast, and he beat me all 3 games like pretty easily. And after the 3rd time he beat me, I go, I'm just gonna 3-0 you today on camera. It's starting.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
All right. Well, I've got an announcement and a question. Sparrow just subscribed with Twitch Prime, so thank you very much.
Nice.
3 months in a row.
Oh, Sparrow, no, you're supposed to give me your Twitch Prime.
Oh, see, that's a special one. Anyone can spend money, but people only get one Twitch Prime.
That's fair.
All right. And then POY 2010 asks, what is the best deck in Modern and why is it Jeskai Control?
Wait, what was that person's name again?
I believe it was POY 2010.
So 2010.
2010. I don't know if
Wait, is poi like a food that I'm not
POI though.
Person of interest? Wait, you said POI.
Yes, poi, the food, the mashed taro.
Oh, okay. And you said POY?
It does look like POI.
Okay. So player of the year.
POI 2010.
2010 wants to know.
Yes, wants to know what is the best deck in Standard or in Modern and why is it Jeskai?
Seems like they answered their own question there. Unfortunately, they answered it incorrectly.
Well, then what is the best? What is the best Modern deck?
I think there are 3 decks that have claimed to be the best. One is Ironworks, one is Bant Spirits, and the other is whatever is the best Arclight Phoenix deck, which we haven't figured out yet.
So you're thinking it's Spirits, you said Spirits, KCI, and Arclight. I wasn't paying attention.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat.
I thought you were reading the Jeskai question again.
Yeah.
I think one of those 3 decks is the best deck.
I mean, I will tentatively agree. I don't think that Spirits is like inherently powerful. Like, I don't think it's a good deck as far as like, obviously if all you play against is like KCI and other very linear decks, you can steal a lot of games with something like Spell Queller. Your clock is good enough to put pressure on them, and you have like just enough disruption to get the job done, and that makes for like a good metagame deck. And but if like the whole format comes back to like control and removal and things like Brad, you've played a lot of Jeskai, right? Wait, all the pieces are coming together. Hold on, Player of the Year 2010, Jeskai Control.
I don't see the
Brad's
connection.
in the booth asking the questions.
There's not really connection. All right. Sparrow did respond with,
Seems like we have
he
a person
sends you
of
the real
interest.
money. And there's been many people asking about what is the best take of Arclight Phoenix in Modern, and we're going to hold off on that because that's our 3rd match. Our 3rd match is Ross playing his Grixis Arclight Phoenix deck that he played to a...
Say it right.
Grixis Arclight Phoenix deck that he played to a top 8 finish in Vegas, the Team Open, where he played Modern against Hardened Scales Affinity. So we'll be playing that the 3rd today. So we'll be talking about Arclight then. But right now we're going to take a 3-minute break to let the guys get their sideboards ready, and we'll be back. So get your questions about this match and any other decks that you're interested in, if they include
Jeskai Control or you know something else.
Yeah, I mean, people want to talk about Just Control. I'm not going to stop them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not going to stop them.
Fair.
I mean, I've got some Modern tournaments coming up. I might be considered playing the deck, but like I'll let the chat flow the way it wants to.
No,
Okay.
All right.
We'll see in a couple minutes.
Right.
And welcome back to Sideboarding with Bant Spirits against Humans. I'll start off here. Don't have a lot to bring in. I think the 2 slam dunks are the single copy of Worship and Dramoka's Command. I also want to try out a couple Knight of Autumn because I think Aether Vial is a really important card out of Todd's deck.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes gaining 4 life in the race is going to be relevant, or making a 4/3 to block. As far as what to cut, Mausoleum Wanderer is definitely the card that on the surface is the least impactful. There's not a matchup that has instants and sorceries in it. There's one copy of Dismember.
Yeah.
So it's really just a 1-mana 1/1 flyer that can get pumped. But in a matchup where you're racing in the air a lot of the time and you really just want to get ahead on the battlefield quickly and get a lot of bodies on the battlefields to make your lords effective, having a 1-drop is really important, or having a density of 1-drops. So this might end up being a mistake. I think the next card I would consider cutting is actually Spell Queller, which is one of the best cards in the deck, but is bad against Aether Vial and opens you up to some pretty big tempo swings against Reflector Mage in this matchup. If you can set it up with a Drogskol Captain and tab some 3-drop, it's going to be really excellent. So the upside is there, but there's a lot of downside in having extra 3s in the curve and bringing in 2 more and a 4-drop.
Yeah.
So I'm a little worried, but I'm going to try Wanderer. If we go to a game 3, I might try bringing Spellcaller out instead and being a little bit leaner. But for now, in a post-board game, you generally want to have more power, raise your curve a little bit because the games are going to go longer. So I'm going to stick with that principle here.
All right. My side, we're bringing in some slam dunks. I think Izzet Staticaster, it was a lot better against the deck when it played Rattle Chains. Now that it doesn't play Rattle Chains, and it also has Supreme Phantom, Izzet Staticaster is not nearly as good, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah. Such a great card to image, too.
Yeah. If you ever get 2 active, if they don't get 2 Drogskol Captains on the battlefield off a Collected Company, every creature they play is going to die, except for maybe Supreme Phantom. Other than that, though, we got 2 copies of Whirler Rogue, which are double duty and playing defense by making flyers. But also, if it comes down to a big stall on the battlefield, we can use his ability to tap 2 artifacts to give a giant champion that perish or something unblockable, which is great.
Yeah, Whirler Rogue, great in the matchup like this. Just really good in any matchup where the board stalls.
Yep. Dismember, obviously a key component for the sideboard here. Just coming in as a means to sometimes steal games out of nowhere by taking care of a Drogskol Captain or Supreme Phantom mid-combat, and really just like taking the wind out of Ross's sails. The life lost by casting Dismember is not nearly as important as the tempo swing for 1 mana to remove one of those huge threats. 2 copies of Knight of Autumn, just as a backdoor way to kill a worship, but also it's just decent against Aether Vial. And if we're in a racing scenario, sometimes gaining 4 life is just pretty good. It's not at its best in this matchup, but it has targets, and we have plenty of things we want to bring out. We're going to be cutting Militia Bugler. As we talked about before, this card is significantly better in matchups where your opponent is pointing burn spells at your creatures or pointing Fatal Push at your creatures, and in matchups where they're not, it sucks. Get out of your deck. Dali, Garden of Thraben. If your opponent has very few instants and sorceries, or I guess non-creature spells, Dali can come out. The first strike body is relevant on the ground in the mirror match sometimes, but I'm more of a fan of keeping Meddling Mage in the mirror, just because if you have an Aether Vial and a Meddling Mage, and your opponent has no Aether Vial, Meddling Mage can lock them out of a card completely, which is a pretty big deal. And yeah, a lot of people have fought with me on this, but I've won so many mirror matches by just playing turn 1 Vial, turn 2 Meddling Mage on like Reflector Mage, and then they just can't hit my stuff anymore.
Yeah. And in this matchup, the Thalia on the ground is just not going to be relevant, and naming things like Path to Exile and Collected Company is great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Todd and Ross shuffle up. I have to state that Stas Pistachio has a tier 1 sub, so thank you for that.
Oh, dude, what's up?
And also, Casual asks, does the best Jeskai list play Terminus or not?
I mean, I have not played a single match of Jeskai in over a year. Like, Brad, if you have any insight into this, like, feel free to chime in.
I will. No, it is not good in this deck at all. You don't play Opt. You don't
have
play
Electrolyze,
Jace.
and you can play Opt. Like, what if it's just a Jeskai version of Miracles?
Oh, so we're just like straight up just playing Wafu Tapa's 75, where he just played blue-white control with splashing 4 Electrolyze.
Yeah. I mean, that is technically Jeskai control.
Even Raishun just said the best Jeskai list doesn't play red and plays Terminus. That is just, I don't think that's true anymore. But I encourage everyone to just believe I'm wrong and continue playing blue-white. I mean, on the floor in Atlanta, a lot of pros that I know from Europe came over with blue-white control because they just weren't going to play test. And they just were practicing or just playing the GP as a free roll. And they all said that blue-white was just horrible for the metagame, and all the Jeskai players felt pretty good about it. Both decks still had the worst win percentages in the field. But
they felt better about it.
Yeah.
This hand is unplayable. I have 1 land, and it's a Moorland Haunt.
Well, we have a lot of mana, but we have a lot of cool stuff. So I'm going to keep it. If we this is a hand that can definitely like if we just draw 2 lands in a row, we're probably gonna lose. But when we're on the draw and we have like a potential means of interaction as well as just like multiple 1-drops that we can kind of spew out a bunch of stuff early. This is the kind of hand you want in the matchup, and obviously if you draw poorly on the next few draws, you just have to chalk that up to variance. But like I don't think I would mulligan this, and knowing the matchup, definitely.
Huh. Found where all my lands went.
Oh, in your hand now?
Yeah, they're right,
All right
here.
Let's do a straw poll. Does Ross go to 5?
He goes to 6.
Crap. Fine, go to 6.
Yeah, I already did the straw poll, and I got all the results back, and we had 400 people that answered, and Ross goes to 6.
Oh,
It's a pretty fast poll.
Having power and you guys not having the ability to correct me is just a great feeling over here. All right, I got another question for y'all.
what's up?
OO Oddity MTG asks, how many Electrolyze in Jeskai Control? 2 or 3?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's 4. And because
That's
Waffle Top said
played
so.
4. Well, that's a good answer.
Yeah,
I hate the card Electrolyze.
Because you play decks that it's good against, or you just dislike the card in general?
No, I hated it when I was playing Twin 3 years ago. I hated it when I was playing Blue Moon earlier this year. I've hated it whenever I've played a control deck. It just costs so much mana. Almost never targets 2
but
creatures.
you're playing decks that don't have a higher density of removal. It complements burn and other removal stuff. Like when it's a part of your removal package that's only like 7 cards or 8 cards or whatever it is, then it's not that good because it's not high impact. But it plays an important role with all the other. If you're playing a high density removal deck like Jeskai, it's great in Jeskai.
I played a lot of Blue Red Twin and a lot of Teamer Twin, and I always played 1 Electrolyze, and it was always gas.
Yeah, I always played 1, but I always saw a list of
Hold
2
the
and 3.
phone. Important question
Hold the
coming
phone,
in.
Here it comes.
Important question.
What's up?
The limit break. Todd.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Alabama's chances versus Georgia?
Wow.
It's this SEC championship game.
Yeah, we're gonna win.
We are going to win, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna be by a lot. I think Georgia's an insanely good team, and we could very easily lose, but we're gonna.
And we've got some people that might not be playing. So
roll Dad.
Okay, this 6 is playable, so let's scry, even though it doesn't matter because we're fetching. I am going to...
Wait, limit break?
let me find it again. The
I'm gonna
limit
get
break.
What is Brad's handle again on like Twitch and stuff? Is it
The limit break. My
FF
Freak.
Freak? Yeah. What's that? Isn't that Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Isn't Limit Break a Final Fantasy reference?
I don't believe in these conspiracies that you're trying to.
What is happening?
If you're talking about Final Fantasy, you're going over my head.
That's
so
fair. Well, we drew the worst card in the deck. Human. Your turn.
But if you're talking about conspiracies against Brad, I'm in. There's a lot of interest in Jeskai Control there in the chat.
Actually, there is. There really is.
All right, so you're at 17.
Yes, I'm at 17. Let's get this vial up to 1. Let's play Noble Hierarch and pass the turn.
Drew the worst card in the deck again. All right, let's
good.
do Human.
Yep.
Noble Trigger, hit you for 5.
That's pretty good. I'm at 12.
Already at 12? What in the heck?
You attacked for 5 on turn 2.
Yeah. I don't know. My hand's still not good. I drew the worst 2 cards in the deck. If you just bounce this, basically dead. If you cast Collect Company, basically dead. I mean, Ross does have a lot of mana as well, so if he can't utilize that mana, these cards don't matter.
Attack you for 2.
You got me.
No blocks.
You got me.
With 4 damage. Shiroka's command.
Nice. All right, so it's a 3/4. That's pretty good.
Yeah, counter and fight. So you're at 17.
Sure, 17.
Pass the turn. Got him. Figured it out.
Well, that was probably the best draw on the deck. Orlero.
Tilt.
Oh, we got some Nick Miller Thopter tokens, and then I'm attack for 2. He can put the 1/3 on the battlefield if
I'll
you
go
want
to 10.
Supreme Phantom, but if he doesn't have it, it's fine. All right, Ross is at 10.
Awkward.
Nice.
Okay, I'm going to blow up one of the Thopters.
All right. They go
and attack you for 3.
I will take 3. I'm at 14.
Pass the turn.
That's 4 toughness. Huh. Things just got interesting.
Did they?
Like a lot interesting. I can do some dirty stuff right now.
What do we got? I've been interacting with the chat.
All right, let's take a look at my hands here. I'm not going to say a word because Ross has a vial on 3 and his entire deck plays at instant speed.
Well, I can say a word. I can tell you what's in his hand.
All right, let's start. I'm just going to attack for 4. See what happens.
I'm at 6.
Nice. Okay, I will
Pass the turn.
no.
Tap all your lands and pass the turn. Feel like that's going to be bad for me. But I will activate and bounce this thing.
Okay. I will copy this, destroy your ether vial.
Sure.
And then human reflector major noble hierarch. Go. I don't know if that was correct because I mean I don't have a great target for reflector mage, but I think I want to get it on the battlefield. But I keep him off of 4, and I mean this is what I keep doing to him. This is how we're doing it. I'm sure he just drew a collected company or something, or just drew another noble hierarch.
This is my life.
Welcome back from vacation. How was it?
Don't have any good blocks because Todd has multiple noble hierarchs.
Yeah, you're right. And I can cast my Whirler Rogue next turn because you played the Reflector Mage instant speed.
Yeah. So this is a 2/1 Knight of Autumn. Yeah, so the Reflector Mage gets to attack for 4 here. Next turn, if I leave everything back, and it's a 4/5, so I don't have the power to trade with it. Todd, you're at 14, and I'm at 6.
Yep.
If I were to just attack, say, with this, because this will check here, I guess you could trade and then still attack for 4. If I just attack like this, Todd doesn't have a lot of great blocks. Like you could end up double blocking in a way where we trade off Reflector Mages, but I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, I think I attack for 3.
All right, I'm at 11.
Pass the turn.
Okay. We are going to start off here with a Metal Mage.
God, this is unreal. Well, I'm dead.
No, play your Spell Queller. Enter this.
Yeah. And it's the only thing I can do. I'm not going to not play it. It's going to resolve the Whirler Rogue regardless.
Human, Whirler Rogue, make 2 things. I'm going to make this unblockable and hit you for 3.
At 3.
Yeah. All right, so 11 to 3.
Need to draw a land.
And then even then, I don't even know.
Yeah, land is just the start. Yeah, I obviously did draw the Collected Company the turn after you cut me off 4 mana.
Nice. Now your Metal Mage the turn I was going to recast Whirler Rogue, and yeah, it's all downhill from there.
Yep, just best possible draws every time.
Why are you so mad? This is exactly how I, in my head, the matchup was supposed to play out.
Yeah, I'm just dead. Like, I can't interact with the Whirler Rogue, so Todd just gets to make an unblockable creature that's lethal damage, so I'm dead.
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't need to make this unblockable. I could have made this unblockable and put you at 2.
Could have made your Phantasmal Image unblockable.
Oh, yeah. Could have done that.
Okay, we got time for a third game here, or do we want to move on?
No, I think we're settled. Well, the problem is I don't want to watch you get embarrassed again because they take a while. Plus, we have a lot of people in chat have been asking relatively the same question, and I know that both of you will ramble on about it in different ways. So I'm just going to say opinions of the bans, the lack thereof on bans.
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God.
And
can I curse?
No, you cannot curse.
Okay,
it's a family show.
I'm gonna have to dance around it.
Someone got Scooter 22 got a timeout.
Why Scooter get timed out? He's
I don't
mod.
know. I don't know.
Oh, he probably got auto modded from. Okay, that's fine.
But the big question is that I'm attaching to this. Why does everyone want Splinter Twin and Stoneforge Mystic unbanned? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Especially this year. I could see that last year, Control was basically dead. And that felt bad. All the Control players wanted something. They're like, yeah, we need Splinter Twin. Like, Control can't compete without it.
Yeah, then
this year,
Jace.
Control has been one of the best macro archetypes. Control has been very good for most of this year. So if you want to play Control deck, it's there. But somehow people are still like, nah, I want to play Twin. They just so that's apparently the only thing that can please them. I don't get it. I literally had this mini rant happen in my article that went up today.
Yeah,
about powerful magic. You get to play Teferi and Jace and a bunch of good removal spells. I don't get it. Just play your Control decks.
Okay. Here's a question that I have for you. Okay, I get it. Right. Control decks don't need Splinter Twin. They win the game pretty easily without it. They have Planeswalkers, whatever. But why can't they? Why is a Splinter Twin a bad 2-card combination to have in the format when so much degenerate BS already exists?
It's not that. So the point it's the difficult thing here is in collapsing all of the different unfair decks in Modern into one monolith, and then saying, well, like, this monolith exists, so this other monolith should exist. Twin was powerful enough that it was essentially the only Control deck. And I think that would continue to be the case if it were unbanned, because it is that powerful.
You're both missing you're both missing a giant piece of this puzzle. Twin was not a Control deck.
No, okay.
It was a combo Control deck. And combo Control decks are broken in Magic. They break the rules of Magic.
Okay, let me jump in here, and I want to answer Ross's point specifically, in that it was the only way to build a Control deck for a very long time because we didn't have good finishers. Like, we didn't have Jason Mind Sculptor or Teferi. Like, we were stuck playing freaking Karanos and stuff, and that just, like, didn't really cut it when your opponent was gaining infinite life on turn 3 with an artifact that sat on the battlefield that gained them 2 mana and a free card every turn.
What card are you talking about?
Birthing Pod. Like, things have obviously changed in the last few years, but instead of going like more towards like longer games that have more interaction, we've condensed games down to about 3 turns that actually matter. I think, like, out of the first 4 turns, there's usually one of your turns that doesn't matter because either you missed a drop or whatever, and then you have 3 turns specifically in the first 4 turns that determine whether or not you win or lose the game.
I think you're playing like hyperlinear.
I don't think that's actually true in a large case either. Like, this year, Control's been one of the best decks for over half the year. Last year, the deck that was dominant for most of the year was Grixis Death Shadow. Another fair deck that could play long games. Sometimes you played short games, but you definitely played your share of long games. Well, that's when
you rolled them or they rolled you.
Yeah. I mean, that just happens in Magic.
And it happens
a little bit more in Modern. But this idea that Modern is always all linear decks all the time hasn't been true for the last 2 years. It is. There are times when the linear decks are
I'm not saying
more prevalent.
I'm not saying
that we're in one of those.
I'm not saying it's all linear. I'm saying that there are enough linear decks that it baffles me that this other deck can't exist because it can beat these decks. Like Splinter. Okay, Brad, you played Jund forever, right?
Yep.
Do you think it would be a good thing for Jund to be one of the best decks again?
I mean, I don't know what context you're trying to use. It will become one of the best decks again if they unban Splinter Twin.
Right. So it creates like this hierarchy, but I don't think that Splinter Twin is ever really on top. It's hovering usually around second, third, or fourth. But the people
Splinter Twin?
Yeah.
It was by far the best deck for most of its life. It won all the Pro Tours or whatever. Like, it won most of the tournaments or took second. Like, Splinter Twin was the best deck. It was by far the best deck.
And it was metagame warping to the point where it propped up Jund for several years.
Yeah, it made me believe Jund was a good deck.
Yeah, because it was good against Twin.
Yeah, it was like
Twin is
the best matchup.
Incredibly powerful. And now we have a very balanced metagame without it. So I don't understand the need to put it back in.
So this is a random side question to this. But how much stock do you put in actual metagame numbers? Because I believe the actual numbers for Twin was always 20-something%, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was less than that.
Yeah, I think it was
10 to 15.
But if you put Grixis and
sure, I think for most tournaments it was never really ever.
Like what? In what way?
Talking about whether or not to unban or if a deck is banned. I'm just curious.
I don't think percentage of metagame should ever be the reason why something is banned unless it is half or more.
Amulet was way less than that, and it got banned because it was just the 5 people that actually spent the time learning
disgusting.
Well, yeah, but the 5 people that actually dedicated time to learning it were just top 8 in every tournament.
I just feel like metagame percentage is always one of the things that people talk about, and I don't know. I mean, obviously, we're not working for Wizards. We don't know what's going on with it.
In Modern, the metagame numbers are always going to be way lower because not a lot of people adopt the best decks just because of the best decks. They play the deck they like.
I have one running theory where one card got banned in Modern because of metagame percentages. Wild and the Cattle. Because all the pros would just not stop playing that card. And they're like, guys, there's 35 decks you can play in this format that's 50 sets wide. And we're like, no, we're going to keep playing Negates and Wild Cattles. And they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah. There's a second card that got banned based on metagame numbers, and it was Ivugan, but that one was legitimate.
Yeah,
yeah, that was when that became 50% or more of the metagame. Yeah, there's a breaking point, but I mean, we've seen over the last 2 years or whatever where, standard pretty regularly was 2 decks, and only one of them got a ban because it was a little too good. We got a Feldar Guardian ban. We got a Aetherworks Marvel ban.
Do you want all 7 cards that were banned in standard?
No, I don't care, dude.
No, I didn't know what you were looking for.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
No, we have one more part of this question. We can stop on Twin. Twin is a stupid unban, honestly, and people either just want to live the glory days of playing it again or didn't play then and don't understand how disgusting it is. Because no one that doesn't want to play Twin is yeah, bring it back.
Yeah, the unbanned Twin camp, I think, had an argument before the unban of Jason printing of Teferi when control became reasonable again. But since that point, I don't think there's any argument to unban it.
Yeah, and so the second part is everyone's talking about why not unban Stoneforge Mystic, which is a very medium card in this new in Modern. I don't believe it would be overpowered, but I do believe that it would warp things significantly. And it could be overpowered, maybe.
The argument for the unbanning Stoneforge Mystic also seems short-sighted to me because it almost always revolves around the fact that in the last 5 years, Wizards has printed several different flexible answers to artifacts, namely Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy and Kolaghan's Command.
Even a Braid.
And a Braid. Yeah. All these cards have been printed and see a lot of play in Modern, so that decks just have incidental answers to artifacts and they aren't forced to bring in Ancient Grudge against Stoneforge Mystic decks to deal with these early Batter Skulls or other equipment. They have more flexible answers, and especially Kolaghan's Command, where you can wait for them to put the artifact onto the battlefield and then get both halves. So they're not actually up a card. But the thing is, look at the existence of answers to cards is not always a reasonable check on their power level. Twin was the best deck, despite the fact that Abrupt Decay, probably the best possible answer to the Twin combo, existed and saw a lot of play in the format as a result. The issue is that you get to play this very powerful threat that requires fairly specific answers, and it only costs 2 mana, and it does a lot of good flexible things. You can cast it early and get aggressive against control decks or combo decks. You can cast it on turn 4 or 5 and have mana up to protect it or protect the artifact. And and it doesn't take up a lot of slots in your deck, and it's incredibly powerful if they just don't have the answer. You can Thoughtseize into it. You can just do a lot of things with it, and because it takes up so few slots in the deck, you get to have a lot of interaction surrounding it. This was the issue. We saw this with Callblade. Now, I know a lot of people watching now were not around when that was in Standard, but it completely broke Standard, and then it completely broke Extended. And it was the impetus for moving to Modern. If people don't realize this, is because there was going to be an extended Pro Tour, and Wizards realized that extended format was going to be heinous.
Like 3 weeks out or 4 weeks out.
Yes, they changed it 3 or 4 weeks out. Yeah. I literally started testing for that Pro Tour that night, and then at midnight they released the ban announcement and the change of the format. Yeah. And I was like, great, because we spent an entire night just playing fairies against Stoneforge Mystic decks.
Yeah, I had actually built a Deceiver Exarch Stoneforge Mystic deck, and it was just the best thing I've ever seen. Yeah. You know, like you were basically just playing the most busted standard deck of all time, but with more removal, like better removal.
Yeah. So like I get it. We have better answers, and that will help keep it in check. But like, you always want to be on the threat side of the threat answer paradigm. This has been a common trope in Magic theory for the last decade now, and I'm worried about it. I was also worried about Bitter Blossom, so I understand it could be wrong. But I would be worried about an unbanned Stoneforge Mystic. It's just so cheap and so flexible and so powerful.
White, I don't know. I think giving white is already one of the more powerful colors in the format, which is unusual.
Are you joking?
Isn't it?
Humans and Bant Spirits are
but humans is decks. Not a white. Okay, humans has some white.
The control decks.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Almost all the fair decks are white.
Yeah, and giving like if they weren't already at the top, at least like 2, if like the top 5 decks had no white cards in them, I would definitely be like, this seems like a card that I want in the format. But given that like 2, maybe 3 of the top 10 decks are like white based, or at least have a lot of white in them, that to me, it's like, you don't need to meddle.
Does Stoneforge Mystic go into any of those decks though?
They would go into both of your decks. Are you kidding me?
The humans deck would change significantly. They would need it. But
so like if one humans deck plays it in GT and the other one doesn't, then I'll
like the mana base can't support it. It would have to be a very different deck.
Why can't it support it?
Because literally all your lands tap for humans only, or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Bant Spirits could play.
You have 5 you have 5 lands that let you activate Stoneforge Mystic in the humans deck.
I guarantee you, the decks there would be a deck that was similar to these whatever. They would find the best combination that played these.
Would you see like a Death and Taxes deck that is a better shell for it? Get a lot better.
That deck would greatly improve. Yes.
Yeah. Like I could see other decks emerging, which might be good. Then you have more options to play. Like if they become on the par of humans and
GTA is banned in this format.
Yes, GTA is banned.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you can bring Stoneforge back. It's totally fine. I thought for some reason I was like always having it with like the Legacy package.
Yeah, you have Batter Skull and you have Swords.
I play this format 5 times a year, excluding in here, and no one puts GTAs in my deck, and I don't ask for them.
Brad's been playing Modern for literally 7 years and has.
I'm a professional.
You've never played against a GTA in Modern ever.
Well, I thought it was weird.
Right, because it's way too good.
I think you could entertain unbanning it, but I actually think Modern is in a really good spot. Like we've had control decks do well. I don't think they're well positioned right now. There's these disruptive aggressive decks that are tier 1. We've got big mana decks. We've seen a little bit of a resurgence of Primeval Titan decks to go along with Tron, and in that category, there's still 4 or 5 different really good linear decks. There's an affinity variant that's popped up now that's like aggressive, but also kind of neat with these synergies. There's a lot of different decks that can win. I do think there's a narrow range at the top that are the best decks, but that's just how Magic works. So Modern seems really healthy to me right now. People still love complaining about it, and I think we've seen more people complain about it now that Standard got good again. Yes. So people have something to play, another format that's really healthy and really fun. So now that we're seeing the hate turn back towards Modern again, like it used to be 3 years ago or so. But that's more a function of Standard being good than Modern not being good. I think Modern's in a great place.
Okay, here's my take on Modern. Granted, you've played more Modern than the last 6 months than I have. I've played a reasonable amount of Modern. But when Tron, Amulet Titan, and KCI, Ironworks combo, are 3 of the better decks in the format. These are just big, rampy decks that do really degenerate stuff. To me, that doesn't feel like it's a very good format. These are very disgusting decks that do ridiculous things. Like the fact that Amulet Titan can play like a long game of Magic, but also just kill you on turn 3. Like that to me.
Those draws have to be so good to kill on turn 3, though.
To kill, literally, you can turn 3 Titan pretty often.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
okay, kill on turn 3 usually requires double amulet, but effective kills that are basically unbeatable on turn 3 is not that unreasonable. You know, it takes like a tribe scout and an amulet or whatever.
those 3 decks are like under 10% of the format, though, combined.
Right, but that's okay. But I think that is actually like, all right.
Storm kills on turn 3 if you don't do anything to it.
Hold on, let him get his point
I'm
out.
getting really mad.
Why?
But okay. First of all, you're making the argument that because a deck is under X percentage, you need to leave it alone or whatever. And that, to me, people just don't change decks in Modern. Like, that just is a thing. But just because, like, you know, 2 guys did pretty good with Amulet Titan in a recent Modern Open means that, like, you know, I'm losing my train of thought because I'm just so mad. I don't know why. I'm so mad. Just because a deck is underrepresented percentage-wise doesn't mean it's not too degenerate. Okay? That's the main point I want to get across. Secondly, if I can play Amulet Titan, if I can play all these other decks, why can't I play Splinter Twin? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why are you allowed to do this stupid, disgusting garbage, and I can't play a Deceiver X Arc into a Splinter Twin?
Okay, do you want to know the actual answer? Todd, do you want to know the answer?
Yes.
Okay, I can lay it all out for you.
Let's go.
Because the moment that Amulet Titan becomes super powerful is the moment that Damping Spheres go into every sideboard, and it makes the deck a joke. And that is true. Let me finish my thought. And their decks have hate, and they exist. The thing about Splinter Twin is there's nothing except targeted stuff that's truly hateful for it. The entire baseline strategy of Splinter Twin is you have to hold up mana to react with them all game, and then they can just go like bolt, snap, bolt you at the end of the game and kill you because you've only gotten to use half of your mana for an entire game. So you're whatever game plan you have in Modern, which has to be degenerate and powerful, you can only use half of it against this one matchup, just this one specific matchup. You're not allowed to play like your actual game plan. So then you have to do all this random stuff to win the game. And then they can just get you with their, not only their combo, which also they can like implement Blood Moons and Cryptic Command controls, or they can move over to Tarmogoyfs and Lightning Bolts and do all this weird stuff. They just get all the power. There's going to always be whatever's the best version or build of Splinter Twin. If you find it for the current metagame, it'll always be
come
best.
over here. Come talk.
Sure.
with us.
Yeah, I'm not even looking at.
I'm literally just staring into the void, and there's a voice off screen talking.
We have to take a break.
There's a better argument here.
We'll come back and go ahead.
Here's why Twin is too good. It's because your deck consistently kills turn 4, turn 5. It's a little bit slower than the other degenerate decks. You can't kill turn 3. Some people tried List of Twin that could with some acceleration.
Okay.
They weren't good. Your deck is about a turn slower than the most degenerate decks. But those decks, when you build an amulet deck that like kills at its best turn 2, turn 3, usually kills more turn 4, maybe turn 5 if they turn 4 the Titan, which is on par with you, so they're not that much faster. To build that amulet deck, it takes 58 slots. You get 1 Engineered Explosive and 1 Walking Ballista to interact with your opponent, and then a sideboard. To play your Twin deck, you get 20 pieces of interaction to go alongside your combo that also kills them on turn 4 and turn 5. No other combo deck gets to do that. Storm that can kill a little bit faster gets to play like 2 Remans, an Unsubstantiate, and a Lightning Bolt.
And sometimes they really go out there and get a repeal to go with it all.
You get to play like 4 Bolts, 4 Snapcasters, 3 Cryptic Commands, 4 Remans, a Spell Snare 2, an Electrolyzer 2, and probably something else like a Logic Knot. You get all of that disruption, all of that. And you get the cantrips to go find your combo and smooth out your draws because your combo is so lean and so efficient. The problem is how lean it is. It takes 10 slots.
So as somebody that like, all right, so I am a Modern player like once every, let's say 6 to 8 weeks, which is frustrating because I don't ever get into a deck. And every time that I start investing into a deck, then I get in 6 to 8 weeks later and everyone's like, well, that's not a good deck anymore. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do anymore.
Well, now you know how everyone feels about Standard when you write an article.
Sure. But I would love an unban of Splinter Twin because then I'd be done. I'd buy Splinter Twin and I'd be like every 8 weeks, I'd be like, what's the 4 cards I'm switching around? All right, let's go win a tournament. Like the deck was just disgusting and it's all play and it's all like chess versus checkers. And it's a disgusting archetype. It's just not healthy.
It's really good.
And it doesn't play. It's not fun Magic. It's stressful Magic. Like it's like Burn, but Burn is like not good enough to like be like ban worthy or like hate worthy. But like Burn, the first time they go like Goblin Guide hit you, you're at 18. You're like, this is going to be a stressful game, right? You might win it, right? I'm not saying it's going to be a broken game, but it's a stressful game. The moment that you're up against Splinter Twin, you're just like, oh, can I tap this mana? I don't know. What's their hand? It could be anything.
I understand your frustration, Todd. I played Twin for a year before they banned it. I played Pod for a year and a half before they banned that. And that was the first 2 decks in Modern that I played. Getting the deck that you really like to play, that was really fun to play, that sort of tied you to the format banned, sucks. And a lot of people feel that when they get their deck banned.
Yeah, how about unban everything?
We tried that. Eldrazi
right.
was too good.
All right, let's not unban. Okay.
Okay, this is like the opposite of the Todd I know. Todd's always like burn it to the ground. Now he's like, build it all up.
Yeah. Okay. So, and as far as I'm concerned, I would 100% rather things be unbanned rather than banned when it comes to fixing a format. There are sometimes there are some cards specifically that need to be banned because they are just too good or too disgusting, or they just didn't test Modern with cards in mind. Eye of Ugin has been around for a very long time. It was always in Tron, and then when they printed a bunch of Eldrazi because they went back to Zendikar for some reason, they just made a bunch of 2, 3, and 4 mana creatures cost 2 less, which is mind-boggling. A. B. Once you figure out that a card is too good, you can axe it, right? And then we don't have to come back to it. When it's on the fence, like cards like Birthing Pod, cards like Green Sun Zenith, Splinter Twin, etc., Stoneforge Mystic even, I think that there is a particularly good argument in favor of unbanning a bunch of these cards just to see what happens. Some of these cards just were only legal in Modern for 3 months or something before they got banned. Green Sun Zenith was legal for a very short amount of time. Ponder and Preordain were legal for a very small amount of time. Stoneforge Mystic was never legal. They just unbanned Jace the Mind Sculptor, and it was a joke. It was a joke.
Can I counter argue
Let
this?
him finish.
Sure.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm basically finished. The fact that they keep unbanning Bitter Blossom, Jace the Mind Sculptor, cards that completely dominated older formats and now just see very little or no play is a joke to me.
It's not. They're taking time to do it right. Now, because they did Golgari Grave Troll, and that was bad. But here's my counter argument. So for many years, especially 2, Standard has been horrific. And for years before that, there was always it was kind of a single deck format where there was a second deck that could compete, right? Cocos and Obzons and stuff like that. And Standard was really a 1 or 2 deck format. Right now there's 5. And there's a different way to build each one of them. Every deck has 2 different builds that we're trying to figure out. We don't know if they're better. Maybe it's a better way to build it. Maybe not. Standard's really healthy. They just came out with Arena. Arena is amazing. Arena is, I played Magic Online again. Now, I don't want to say bad things about Wizards products, but I think this one they'll be fine with. I went back to Magic Online this weekend. Oh, wow. That was not fun. I went back to Arena immediately. And Arena is amazing. And I'm so proud of their 2 products, Guilds of Ravnica and Arena. Yes. And they're doing some really good stuff right now. So I kind of encourage them to go, oh, is there a ban and restricted announcement coming up? Is anything on fire? Nope. All right, we're good. Let's just keep doing what we're doing because it's all amazing right now.
All right. One point you brought up is that they need to take it slow when it comes to unbanning cards. And I agree. But they literally have only banned or unbanned stuff like right before a Pro Tour or when something got monstrously out of control over the last 3 years. And I just think that, just throw it through 6 months of like a testing process to see. Tell people like, okay, it's on it's on parole, just like give it 6 months. And if it breaks everything, just cut it again. And then people won't like complain too much because they'll know it was on parole.
No, because those people, there's so many Modern players that just have their deck and want to go to their terms and play and not be disrupted. And I'm not saying that any one Modern player should be respected more than another, but there's a high enough density that we should not just be meddling for science, right? Like, why meddle in a format where this is people's hobby? This is their fun. They're going to Friday Night Magic. They're going to their local game stores. They're going to tournaments. And they have their decks already ready and sleeved and built, and they just tweak them. And now they're like, oh, man, now these 5 cards just came off the thing, so I have to work on all this stuff to figure out what to
I don't want 5 at once. I want 1 at a time for 3 months, 6 months. And B, you are literally just describing what I got to do for like 4 years straight in Modern until they banned my card. The same with Ross until they banned 2 of his decks.
Which card did they ban?
Splinter Twin and Birthing Pod.
And yours?
Splinter Twin.
Yeah, they banned your broken deck.
All right, break.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a 10-minute break.
You can't tell me Splinter Twin is banned.